Hola, my friend. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, or whatever it is the time where you are right now. I started my sex life when I was 15 years old, and back then I was still living in Venezuela. If you heard about that country before, you may know that it's not in exactly a good situation. And believe me, the bad things that they say about it, it is actually true. During those days where I was a teenage, I already get used to not eating that much or enough. And obviously because of that, my nutrition wasn't exactly good. My health in general was actually kind of trash. I was always getting sick all the time. I even had malaria at some point, and it was really crappy. And you could see it in my frame. I'm the person that I was. I was super skinny and what people call bobo, that is like someone that is dumb, right? But not like dumb of being dumb in exams or stuff like that. More like someone that moves kind of slow and doesn't pay attention to the external world. The funny thing is that even in that state, I managed to basically get along with gears and even have sex with some of them. But while sleeping with the gears, after some time I realized that my performance was actually terrible and the gears would say that to me as well. And that was totally frustrating. Imagine having like this thick, beautiful, hot Latina that is literally in love and wants to be with you, and it's like you can't satisfy her in the way that she wants or like the way that you would want as a man. It was like trying to hit someone while dreaming. I wasn't capable of doing it no matter how I tried, and that was super frustrating. When I turned 19 years old, I took a boat in the middle of the night and then traveled to the Caribbean to basically have a better life, right? So I can have a job and eat better, all the stuff. And when I started dating and to have sex again, the situation was pretty much the same. I was still with the same performance, but there wasn't a specific time when things started to improve dramatically. I'm talking that, for example, I used to suffer premature ejaculation. It couldn't last more than 1 minute as maximum. And also that most of the time before and while having sex, I was like shaking and I couldn't put like my arms in the right position for how nervous I was, but also for how weak my body was in general. All that changed dramatically in a month. I'm pretty sure one of the very important factors was that I started to introduce fitness in my life again. It was so significant that the girl that I was back then ended up telling me how enjoyable was that orgasm that I gave her. She didn't even say enjoyable, she said rico. If a Latina used the word rico with you in a sentence, then you know that you're doing things right. And today I want to share with you the things that I did so you can have similar results. My name is Jesus Noya and I am a Venezuelan young man with the goal of helping other men to last longer in bed, become sexually dominant and be more attractive so they can avoid the deadly mistakes that I made through my sex life. This comes from my experience dating Latina girls. I will say that now in all the videos from now on so you can pay a little bit more of attention. And also from the time when I was a medicine student and the years I struggled with a terrible sex life. Today I want to save you from the pain that is having like that weak, bitchy and fragile performance in bed as I used to have before. And I want to help you to potentiate your sex drive and performance so you can be more of like this sex machine. And remember that if you suffer things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, if you want to overcome those things fast and accelerate the process for you to become a sex god, go and click the link in the description right now. That way you can be in contact with me and we can work together on making that a reality as soon as possible for you. But now let's jump to the video. Fitness and health has been a very important part of my life since I was young. I started when I was around 16 with just some very old rusty weights that my dad had in the house of my grandma. I started to go to medicine school and that's why I had to move to my grandma's house. To be honest, I didn't want to be in my parents' house anymore back then. I was just having a bunch of problems with them. And I actually played sports most of my life, basically since I remember. In Venezuela it was very common, or used to be very common, for young men to go to the school first and then in the afternoon your parents will take you to either play baseball or soccer, well, football for us. That was like the two most common sports that everyone would play. And I grew up playing those, but when I was like 13 until I was 16, there was a period when I basically didn't exercise at all because I was mainly focusing on video games, just being on my computer and all that, right? So when it was between 15 and 16, I wasn't that active. And besides that, it was already a time when we didn't have that much of food, so I didn't feel with the energy of starting to go to exercise. However, when I moved to my grandma's house, I wanted to like start to level up myself, and I'm not going to lie, one of the reasons was because I was in love with a girl and she started to tell me how she felt attracted to this guy that was like working out and he looked kind of big, and that motivated me to start to exercise as soon as possible. So I pick up the rusty weights. It was just a couple of plates, probably like 40 kilograms in total, a dumbbell and a barbell. That was it. That was all the things that I had. But with that and a couple of YouTube videos, I started to like take it very seriously. It was the first time in my life that I felt so motivated to exercise. I tried to do it before, but now with the gears and inspiration, I just didn't want to stop. And with the time, just a couple of months, I went from being the guy that couldn't even do a pull-up to make 10, 15, and with even weights on my back. I remember seeing myself, even if I was like still small, but like being all shredded and all lean, I just felt so proud of myself. I started to be just way more confident on myself, having this kind of arrogant and sexy vibe. I was just like powerful, like radiant and full of life. And that was something that ended up paying huge dividends through my sex life in the long term. Because I went from having that self-image of being a bobo, a wimp, basically just a weak guy, to more of this animalistic and aggressive kind of vibe in the good sense. And I was starting to have sex again. I could feel that confidence in myself. Because when you feel in shape, you feel energetic, you feel strong, you can bring that energy to the bed. Imagine that in comparison with the version of myself that couldn't even like put the hands without shaking. So this was one of the ways that exercise helped me to improve my sex life, just by changing my self-image. The second way it helped me was by increasing my masculinity. Even before exercising, I was already kind of a disciplined guy, right? I was with the school, with my responsibilities, with my chores in the house, that kind of stuff, right? I was always very diligent and very aware of the things that I had to do. But it was more coming from this place of a good, void, obedient kind of guy, instead of a hard-working masculine man. However, when I started exercising, it made a significant change in me. I had to actively seek pain, hard work, and just be way more present and in connection with my body. And after going through that repeatedly, alongside with the confidence that I mentioned before, I just started to be like way more outgoing, like started to speak more loud and not giving an F that much of what people would say about me, because I knew the things that I was going through, because I knew myself that I was working hard, that I was working actively on improving myself. It was one of the first times that I was taking control of my life and like putting the direction on the things that I wanted to do, on where I wanted to go. And that for me is genuine masculinity. And obviously when you're having sex with a woman, it helps you a lot perceiving yourself as the man, as someone that is strong, as someone masculine, in comparison with someone like me before. They used to feel just like a good guy, an obedient guy, the nice guy basically. And finally, the third way that exercise and fitness ended up helping me to improve my sex life a lot was by just improving my health through things like cardio and testosterone. All that ended up translating that significant sex boost that went from the 30 seconds that used to last to around 30 minutes or more. And this one seems like the more obvious one, right? Because if you're someone that is sick and undernourished, obviously you're not going to have good sex. But for some reason, it wasn't that obvious for me before. You know that having sex is like doing cardio. You're there like moving your body continuously, breathing all the time, sweating, feeling your heart go fast. And to do it properly, but more than that, to do it in a satisfactory way for your woman, in a way that she actually enjoys and loves it. You cannot be a sick, weak guy. If you're someone that is not able to use the stairs without running out of breath rapidly, then your capacity for sex is going to be just mediocre. I mean, you can still do it, but it's not going to be as good as it could be. And this is especially important when you're with this kind of women that like to like move a lot and get very physical. You're gonna see this a lot with Latinas and black girls, for example. To be able to manage those wide hips, you have to be in shape, man. It's something that you can escape from. Especially things like leg training, for example, help you a lot with your pelvic floor muscles and also with the way you thrust. It allows you to go with like more intensity. And as a general line, the better your health, the better it's going to be the sex. That's something that is not up to discussion, and why if you want to become a real sex machine, you can't neglect exercise. It is absolutely beautiful seeing how when you exercise, your overall life starts to improve. You're gonna see how good and sexy you feel with yourself. When girls start to say compliments on you of like the size of your arms or like how beautiful your body is, they do that. And they actually may even notice that your body is looking sexier before than you. So it's basically too good to not do it. If you want to improve your sex life in the long term and even in the short term, start to focus on your fitness today. Don't wait for tomorrow, just start today. Because if you want to be able to pound one of those thick gears with wide hips in a masculine and aggressive way, you have to become the man that is able to do that. And one of the best ways to do this is through exercising. Believe me, those gears can take a lot, so you better train hard. I know a lot of men that don't take this seriously, and it really pisses me off, right? I have to train with the frame of my door because I didn't have access to the gym. I train with the same old rusty weights for more than a year. And you most probably are in a country that works enough, because if you have food, internet, and free time to watch this video, for me that's enough, right? If you have the resources to exercise and you're not doing it, You're just doing a disservice to yourself, to your woman, to your girlfriend, to whoever is your sex partner. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to be able to unlock the most beautiful and fulfilling sex life. So please start to take this seriously, because I really wish that for you. Again, remember that if you're suffering things like premature ejaculation, performance anxiety, if you want to overcome those things fast and accelerate the process for you to become a sex god, you can go and click the link in the description now and get in contact with me to discuss how we can help you to achieve that goal as soon as possible. But besides that, man, I really hope this helps you, and I'll see you later. Nos vemos.